Ms. Monroe, do you recall the model name for the flying saucer hat you wore in the role of Roberta Stevens?
Not offhand, but I could look it up in my diary.
Have We Visitors from Space? By H.B. Darrach Jr. and Robert Ginna. The Air Force is now ready to concede that many saucer and fireball sightings still defy explanation. Here, Life offers some scientific evidence that there is a real case for interplanetary saucers. For 4 years, the U.S. public has wondered, worried, or smirked over the strange and insistent tales of eerie objects streaking across American skies. Generally, the tales have provoked only chills or titters, only rarely reflection or analysis. Last week, the U.S. Air Force made known to Life the following facts. As a result of continuing flying saucer reports, the Air Force maintains constant intelligence investigation and study of unidentified aerial objects. A policy of positive action has been adopted to find out, as soon as possible, what is responsible for observations that have been made. As a part of this study, military aircraft are alerted to attempt interception, and radar and photographic equipment will be used in an attempt to obtain factual data. If opportunity offers, attempts will be made to recover such unidentified objects. Already, all operational units of the Air Force have been alerted to report in detail any sightings of unidentified aerial objects. Other groups, scientists, private and commercial pilots, weather observers, all trained observers whose work in any way concerns the sky and what happens in it, are urged to make immediate reports to Air Technical Intelligence Center at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Dayton, Ohio, of any unidentified aerial objects they sight. Further, for the first time since Project Saucer was changed from a special type project to a standard intelligence function in December 1949, the Air Force invites all citizens to report their sightings to the nearest Air Force installation. All reports will be given expert consideration, for those of special interest will be thoroughly investigated. The identity of those making such reports will be kept in confidence. No one will be ridiculed for making one. There is no reason as yet to believe that any of the aerial phenomena commonly described as flying saucers are caused by a foreign power or constitute a clear and present danger to the U.S. or its citizens. These disclosures, sharply amending past Air Force policy, climaxed a review by Life with Air Force officials of all facts known in the case. This review has resulted from more than a year of sifting and weighing all reports of unexplained aerial phenomena, from the so-called flying saucers to the mysterious green fireballs so often sighted in the Southwest. This inquiry has included scrutiny of hundreds of reported sightings, interviews with eyewitnesses across the country, and careful reviews of the facts with some of the world's ablest physicists, astronomers, and experts on guided missiles. For the first time, the Air Force, while in no way identifying itself with any particular conclusions, has opened its files for study. Out of this exhaustive inquiry, these propositions seem firmly shaped by the evidence. Disks, cylinders, and similar objects of geometrical form, luminous quality, and solid nature for several years have been, and may be now, actually present in the atmosphere of the Earth. Globes of green fire also, of brightness more intense than the full moons, have frequently passed through the skies. These objects cannot be explained by present science as natural phenomenon, but solely as artificial devices created and operated by a high intelligence. Finally, no power plant known or projected on Earth could account for the performance of these devices. Let us review some widely known facts. The shapes and inscrutable portents of the flying discs first broke upon the skies of the world in the early months of 1947, with several sightings reported to the Air Force. The story first reached the nation on June 24, 1947, when a private pilot named Kenneth Arnold was flying from Chehalis to Yakima, Washington. Some 25 miles away, Arnold saw 9 saucer-like things flying like geese in a diagonal, chain-like line, approaching Mount Rainier. They swerved in and out of the high peaks at a speed Arnold estimated to be 1,200 miles per hour. Arnold told the whole story to his hometown newspaper, and like summer lightning, it flashed across the country. Within a month, saucers had been reported by people in 40 states. For the public, as Life itself merrily reported in its issue of July 21, 1947, the saucers provided the biggest game of hey diddle diddle in history. Any man, woman, or child with talent enough to see spots before his eyes could get his name in the newspaper. Nevertheless, in serious moments, while people were a little worried by all the chromium hubcaps, flying wash tubs, and whirling donuts in the sky, buried in the heap of hysterical reports were some sobering cases. One was the calamity that befell Air Force Captain Thomas F. Mantell on January 7, 1948. That afternoon, Mantell and two other F-51 fighter pilots sighted an object that looked like an ice cream cone topped with red over Godman Air Force Base in Fort Knox, Kentucky. Mantell followed the strange object up to 20,000 feet and disappeared. Later in the day, his body was found in a nearby field, the wreckage of his plane scattered for half a mile around. It now seems possible that Mantell was one of the few sighters who actually were deceived by a skyhook balloon, but the incident is still listed as unsolved by the Air Force files. There was no such easy explanation for the strange phenomenon observed at 2:45 a.m. on July 24, 1948, by two Eastern Airline pilots. Captain Clarence S. Childs and co-pilot John B. Whitted were flying in bright moonlight near Montgomery, Alabama, when they suddenly saw a bright glow and a long rocket-like ship veer past them. They subsequently agreed that it was a wingless aircraft, 100 feet long, cigar-shaped, and about twice the diameter of a B-29, with no protruding surfaces and 2 rows of windows. From the sides of the craft came an intense, fairly dark blue glow, like a fluorescent factory light. They said the weird craft pulled up with tremendous bursts of flame from the rear and zoomed into the clouds at about 800 miles an hour, rocking their DC-3 with its prop or jet wash. Just as inexplicable was the experience of Lieutenant George Gorman of the North Dakota Air National Guard. On October 1, 1948, Gorman was coming in at dusk to land his F-51 at Fargo when he saw an intense, bright light pass 1,000 yards away. Curious, Gorman followed the light and saw that it seemed to be attached to nothing. For 27 hair-raising minutes, Gorman pursued the light through a series of intricate maneuvers. He said it was about 6 inches in diameter and going faster than his F-51 at 300 to 400 miles per hour. It made no sound and left no exhaust trail. After Gorman landed, the light having suddenly flashed away in the upper air, he found support for his story. The chief of the control tower had followed the fantastic combat with binoculars. The occurrences, jarring though they must have been to the participants, left the official calm of the Air Force unruffled. The project set up to investigate the saucers, Project Sign, known to the press as Project Saucer, seemed to have been fashioned more as a sedative to public controversy than as a serious inquiry into the facts. On December 27, 1949, after 2 years of operation, Project Saucer wrote off all reports of unidentified aerial phenomena as hoaxes, hallucinations, or misinterpretations of familiar objects. That is, all but 34. These stubborn 34, seemingly unexplainable, were briskly dismissed as psychological aberrations. While these assurances appeased most of the press and pacified the public, some elements in the Air Force just about this time began to worry a bit more seriously. Saucer reports continued to come in a rate of about 1 a day and were handled under the code name of Project Grudge. Officers at policy level began to show concern. The higher you go in the Air Force, conceded one intelligence officer, the more seriously they take the flying saucers. There was good reason to be serious. As a review of all records has shown, these years have produced literally dozens of incidents defying simple explanation and provoking the most incredible questions.